If you're ready to take your dreaming to a whole new level, then you're going to want to stick around because these tips will absolutely change your life. On this episode of Grounded Spirits podcast, we're going to be going into dreaming, the history of dreaming, and then just a bunch of tips to use from our ancestors on how to dream better. Back in the day, in ancient times, or even I would say only within the last 300 years have we stopped seeing our dreams as legitimate sources of knowledge. And that's what this podcast is going to be focusing on for the next while. I have a few books that are going to help us with that. So if you remember from the first episode of this dream series, I have this nightmare book. So it actually gave us a lot of good tips. So we'll get into that first. And then within there, we are going to use this book. A lot of good stuff here. We can't forget my book, Learn to Dream. This will give you step-by-step ideas, but also places to understand your dreams by using your dreams as data points to really understand your inner self or your subconscious. Last time we pulled some cards, so we're going to do that again today, just to help us steer this inner world voyage. And new to the channel are these dream cards. These have been so magnificent in understanding my own dreams, so I'm going to share that with you today too. So, as always, we are going to start. I just realized I didn't even introduce myself. So, hi everybody, I am Laura Lynn, and this is Grounded Spirits Podcast, a place where we are learning about the inner world by allowing ourselves to stay rooted while flying high. So, I'm going to see what cards are going to help us guide us along on this journey. As I'm doing this, I want to talk a little bit about tarot. I'm just shuffling. One already came out. Six of Wands. Tarot, the reason that it works is because it is random. And these cards, but I feel like they're still part of divination because these cards do jump out and they're always the perfect cards to show us what's going on. But the reason why they work is because they give us access to archetypes that allow us to better tell our story, allow us to articulate our story. Did you know that the root of articulate is to join? I'm still shuffling. To join or joints. It's the articulation. Two of them fell on the floor, so I'm gonna get those. But yeah, so the cards are a way for us to be able to understand the energies that are going on, to understand the journeys that we're going on. And yeah, that's why I love them. And that's why I got these new moon ones. They're oracle cards, but they have been very, very helpful. Alright, let me go get those other cards that fell on the floor. Okay, so let's see what we got. So we got the Six of Wands, the Eight of Cups, and then the Nine of Cups. So just looking off the bat, as a reminder, I'm still learning tarot, so we're going to learn together. So let me just tell you what I know from it. The wands, this represents earth. So 6 peaks. So I'm thinking of the mountains, the mountain peaks. And then we also have the 8. And you could even see him, he's climbing up towards the mountain. And then here's the river part. So water, the cups, cups are associated with water, and water is associated with emotions. So it's about us diving deep into our subconscious, looking at our inner world through our dreams, and then look how happy this guy is. He is satisfied, he is satiated, and look at all of those cups up there, 9 of Cups, so that he is emotionally satiated. I feel like so much of the world it just comes down to love. They think that they are poor because of money, or they're poor because of lack of friendships. But I think it all comes down to love. And I really think that by diving into the inner world and by allowing that self-love to flourish within, then love on the outside will be attracted to us, and we'll be able to gain that love by just being ourselves, without even trying, without even having like that pick-me energy. It's just of just being yourself and not thinking that it's good or bad. It just is what it is. So that's my interpretation of these. But I actually am going to read the card that it came with, just to better understand it, because like I said, I'm still learning. So I also, quick tip, I also really like throwing it into ChatGPT. I literally just write it out. Like, I don't even like give it a prompt. I just say 6 of Wands, 8 of Cups, 9 of Cups, and then see what it tells me. And it usually does a really, really good job. But I'm using my phone to record, so I can't do that right now. If you follow me on Instagram at Grounded Spirits, I'll probably like put something up on my story once I actually do it, because I do want to know. Oh, okay, how cool. So 6 of Wands means victory, success, honor, and rivalry. So again, with the mountains, we are becoming grounded spirits here on this channel. So like the groundedness, like not feeling flighty, like not feeling like we need to change ourselves, feeling really secure in our bodies. And so we're finding like success with that. Then 8 is commitment. Oh, sorry, no, that was Pentacles. Let me go to Cups. Okay, 8 of Cups, maturity, concreteness. Okay, so yeah, so he is mature, or he's like going towards like maybe building like a foundation. Don't mind my nails. Yeah, okay. And then 9, well-being, fulfillment, satiation. Didn't I just say that? Satiation and satisfaction. So there he is, fully satiated and just happy, because isn't that what life's about, is just being happy? So it's like, how can we be happy is if we are giving and receiving love, and we're allowing ourselves to give and receive love. I'm already kind of jumping ahead, as I tend to do, but in the book, it was talking about how the Iroquois, I hope I'm saying that right, the natives, the Iroquois nation, that they thought that being helped in a dream was a bad thing, because they were warriors and they really wanted to do everything for themselves. They wanted to like prove themselves. But I think that the whole point about nature is to say that we're not here to prove ourselves. We're here to just live and to allow ourselves to receive help and to also give it. So I really want to get into this book now. So it's the Nightmare book. And the first tip is to confront our fears through our dreams. And I kind of talked about this a little bit in the first one. In the first video of this series, or first podcast of this series, if you're listening to it. What I was talking about there was that when we have nightmares, it's that our brains are trying to sort something out. And I don't think I said this last time, so I'm going to say it again in case I didn't last time, but I had this dream where I was being chased and stalked, and I kept outrunning them. I kept outsmarting them, but they just kept coming at me, coming, until finally I'm out in this like open clearance. Like I even tried calling 911, and like the numbers were changing. I was like 999-000. I kept trying to click 911, and then finally I get a hold of somebody, and they're like, "Oh, we need to perform a 24-hour wellness check before we send someone out." And I'm like, I'm dying now. Like these guys are chasing me now. And then so I'm out on like this open clear. This is a dream that I had, in case I didn't mention that before. And then I'm like, there's literally no one else around. I'm in the grass, and I'm like this because he has a gun. He's gonna shoot me. And then the thought comes up in my head. This is like, so while I'm dreaming, I wasn't lucid dreaming. This was like a normal dream, quote unquote. If you have my book, my Learn to Dream book, I'm trying to whip it out here for you. If you have my book, this dream would be classified as a thought-induced dream. It's like a level 4 that I have in this, how I outlined it in that book. But anyway, so then I hear this thought, this voice in my head saying, just fire blast them. And I'm like, what do you mean fire blast them? And they're like, like use your hands and like shoot fire out of your hands to like get them off. And I'm like, I can't do that. And then the voice said, you're in a dream. Of course you can do that. I was like, oh, you're right. And so then I did it, and it was the coolest thing ever. Like, I felt so empowered to be able to like take care of myself, and I didn't even have to hurt them. Like, all just by like shooting out the fire, they ran away. And then I woke up from the dream, and like I felt like the stinging in my hands when I woke up. Like, it was like so cool. And ever since that day, I have just felt so empowered. Like, why do I limit myself? Why do I think that I can't do certain things when I can? I just have to, again, like what the last episode was called, like, stop trying, just be. So if I can just be myself, and it's not good, not bad, just be, and just love myself for being myself, that's all that matters. So back to the book. He was saying that when a Sonoy child was frightened in a dream, so the Sonoy is a tribe that lives in the mountains of Malaysia, and they solved all of their problems with dreams. And actually, we're going to go through every single ancient and not ancient. It goes from ancients from all over the world, and then it goes into Europe until present day, really. And we're going to talk about how different groups, ancient groups from all over the world, they all solve their problems with dreams. So it's like, why aren't we doing that now? And that is also why in this book, I literally, like, read the back. It literally says, if you can read it, and it's kind of small, it says, dreams are a guide to ultimate fulfillment. So that's why dreams, you use the same word for the dreams that you have, like your aspirations, your goals, and also the dreams when you fall asleep and you have these stories play in your head. They're all the same thing. And they really are there to be guides so that we can live our best life. And that's the whole point of being a grounded spirit, is that we are so rude. We're so unchanged, like these mountains. We're so unchanged that nothing could faze us. Nothing could move us. That's how grounded I want us to be. But I also want us to feel and have that river flowing through, allowing the emotions that we bottle up so many times, much of the time. The emotions that we bottle up a lot of the time, they need to come out. And once again, this valley will have that river. So back to this one, though. It says, some say they had no fearful obsessive tendencies or neuroses because they were so psychologically advanced. So that's what I think too. Just like how I was saying right now with the river, it is, I put it on my Instagram, that like, it's so spiritual. The reason that there's no water here, even though when I imagined this place, I saw the water, it's because we do hold so much back. And that's what they're saying here. This is on page 56, by the way, that the Sonoy tribe, they didn't have any mental health issues because they allowed everything to come out, and they listened to their dreams to solve all their problems. They didn't try to hold them in and try to be like tough warriors and say, I can solve it by myself. Like, that's the whole point of community, is to have everybody come in together. Okay, so I'm gonna keep reading. It says, if they were afraid in their dreams, they would discuss it in depth with each other. And then the fear's gone. Once you shine a light into it, it's gone. Once you give it its space, it's gone. There's nothing to fear. There's nothing to be afraid of. So now the first tip I'm gonna give you to up your dream game is to confront the nightmare. So when a Sonoy child was frightened in a dream, he was advised to confront the fear, and he was encouraged to call on dream friends to help him. If he was attacked in the dream, he was required to retaliate. And that's actually funny, because the dream that I was just talking about right now, I kept trying to run away from it. So the dream started off with this guy that came into my house. He was delivering flowers, and I let him into my house, and that's when I realized he was bad, and I ran away. And then somehow he caught me. He put me in his car, and then I ran away. And then something was like shaking over there. Then something else happened, and then I ran away. I kept running away. So again, tip number 1 is don't run away, confront the nightmare. So again, if he was attacked in the dream, he was required to retaliate. Only then, they believed, would his attacker leave him alone. Exactly. So now that we've looked at the Sonoy tribe, we're going to go into this book to talk about all of the other ancient civilizations. So starting with the dawn of time. So that's literally what it says here, the dawn of time. And it starts off with the dreams of Gilgamesh. And so if you don't know the legend of Gilgamesh, it was a king, and he had like the stone, like a tablet of stone, and it's like one of the Epic of Gilgamesh. That's what I mean, not the legend. It's like a stone tablet of his journey or his tales, stuff like that. And so he was the first one. That's our first piece of evidence that dreams were recorded, was in this Epic of Gilgamesh. So it says here, night after night, the aggressively powerful warrior and king of Sumer, Gilgamesh, was troubled by bad dreams. Disturbed, Gilgamesh takes the dreams to his mother, who tells him that someone as powerful as him is about to enter his life. She predicted that his struggles to gain supremacy over the newcomer will fail, but that the two men will become close companions and together achieve great feats. Later on in this epic, Ninsun's interpretation proves correct. I think Ninsun's the mom. Proves correct when Gilgamesh meets Enkidu, a wild man, an embodiment of an uncivilized primordial human, who does indeed become his friend and helps Gilgamesh back down on Earth. Further in the tale, Gilgamesh is warned in another dream of the death of Enkidu, which also comes to pass. So it's the fact that dreams are there to warn us and to help us get ready, because I just recently watched Princess Diaries, and the way that Mia gets told when she's only 16 or 15, she's like, shut up, like I don't want this, and it takes her the whole movie to actually want what her manifestations were, but she wasn't given enough time to even want that, or to even know that that was something that she could achieve. And so I think that dreams are really powerful in that way, that they help us get ready for what we want or what we are destined to become. Because then we see in number 2, there is nothing coming between Mia and that crown. Whereas at the beginning, when she first finds out, she's like, absolutely do not want it. The last thing I wanted to say about the Epic of Gilgamesh is that in Enkidu, the wild man, this could be like the shadow self. So one day our shadow selves will leave. But I think that right now, specifically in this like new age time, so many of us just want to kill the shadow now, but we need the shadow to help us, to balance us. And then once we're balanced, the shadow will leave. And then that's why Enkidu does come to pass at the end of the tale. So moving on to just civilizations at this time here in this time period. So this is around 3000 BC up until 626 BC. That there are cultural pattern dreams. And this happens in a lot of ancient civilizations, where people will have dreams that will literally save the entire civilization. So this happens a lot with Native American. They talk about like having big dreams or small dreams, and how big dreams mean that it's like for the collective, and small dreams is that it's for the individual. I saw a TikTok yesterday that she was a tarot reader, and I get these messages all the time that come onto my TikTok, but she was saying that she had a dream and that she had to jump on immediately, and I thought that was so strange, to have a dream for the collective. And then I read this book and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's something that humans have been doing for centuries, if not millennia. So yeah, having cultural pattern dreams is a very important thing, but this is also like where we get the archetypes for gods and goddesses, is through having these cultural pattern dreams. Like, oh hey, like I saw Aphrodite in my dream last night too, or I saw the Morrigan in my dream last night too. And we could like have conversations like that. We get to know them. We get to know these gods and goddesses through our dreams. So talking about gods and goddesses, they talk about the goddess Ishtar, and when I was reading this little bit, and I'm not going to read it, I'll post it right here so you can read it. But it talks about how she is known as the symbol of fertility, but also as the symbol for as a destroyer. And I thought that was so funny because we also see that with the Morrigan, where she is known as the goddess of war, but she's also known as the goddess of transformation, or the goddess of fertility, the goddess of beautiful changes. Moving on to ancient Egyptians. So here they're talking about astral travel. So being able to, when you sleep, that's your time to be able to go into the universe and find out information, go to the places that you want to visit, to learn about how to better your life here on earth. And so their astral traveling, they called it their dream body, and they would do dream incubation, where they would build temples. And they weren't the only civilization that did this. I believe that the Chinese did it as well. But yeah, that they would build specific temples. And even like in the Bible, we see that a lot, where they go to this temple to sleep, or the Druids, they would go to an oak tree to sleep under, and then that's how they would get these dreams when they're really focusing on it. That actually reminds me, and I don't have the book on me right now, but in my Carlos Castaneda books that I always love talking about, right now I am reading number 4, which is Tales of Power. And in that one, he's talking about how you can focus on one thing before you go to sleep, and you'll be able to solve that problem, or you'll be able to call on that specific thing in your dream. But that you have to completely clear your head first, that you can't think about anything else. You have to just focus in on this one thing, and then you'll be able to have a dream about it and to really understand it better. Oh, okay, so here is now tip number 2. It is called disposing of bad dreams. And this is a ritual that Egyptians would do. And it says, for dealing with a reoccurring bad dream, the ancient Egyptians had a curious ritual. On waking, after another night of the same dream, they would blow their breath into a special receptacle, usually a wooden cup, which was then thrown into a fire. This symbolic act, representing burning the dream, its negative power would be destroyed by the fire so that it would never return to haunt the dreamer. So if you do have a bad dream, you can always do that. Blow it into something, or like you could even like blow it into a candle, hold the top, light it up, and then let it burn out. I feel like that would be an easier way to do it. Yeah. Okay, now moving on to the Greeks. Here they were talking about Zeus and the god of sleep, which is Zeus's son, Morpheus. And I thought that was so interesting because in the series on Netflix called The Sandman, his name is Morpheus, and he is the ruler of the dream world. And that it's an actual place, where people go to dream. And that's what the Chinese were talking about too, that it was an actual place that you could actually go to, the city of dreams. And you would, here, I'm going to read this part. This is on page 25. It says, in ancient China, people believed in a divine city of dreams known as Chengwang, the city that is thought to hang halfway between heaven and earth, and is the place where we go when we're asleep. To enter the celestial city, the dreamer had to pass through the moon gate, which necessitated being pure in mind and body. Once safely inside the city, the dreamer could leave his body and astral travel anywhere in the world. In this context, it is interesting to note. Okay, so then it goes on to say that they already knew that we had a South Pole even before it was actually discovered that a South Pole on Earth exists. So back to the Greeks, they would also feel like they had to go through, so true dreams would go through the gate of horn, and false dreams would go through an ivory gate. And that's how they were able to distinguish, because like if you have a dream about somebody dying, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to die. It could be like a part of yourself that is dying, or that you need a rebirth, or you're transforming in some way. So that's what they're trying to figure out here in ancient Greece. Like, how can we tell if it's a good dream or a bad dream? And that also happens in ancient India, where they're talking about having a lucky dream or an unlucky dream. And I really think that it comes down to knowing yourself and knowing your own dreams, because then you will be able to know, is this a prophetic dream? Is this like, what kind of dream is this? And I think that this is the perfect time to bring out my moon oracle cards, my dream ritual oracle cards. And these, I just want to tell you about it. These are actually so cool. So what I do when I first wake up, I go over the dream in my head. If my husband's awake, if I wake up after my husband, I will recall my dream to him, and a lot of times we'll just talk it out and we'll be able to figure it out together. Or like, he'll see some insights, he'll pick up on patterns, like, oh, you had this dream like 2 weeks ago and it kind of relates to this one, like, let's see, like, let's connect all the dots. And so we figure out like what the dream means. For instance, I had this dream like 2 nights ago where I had leeches all over, but they didn't look like leeches. They looked like little tadpoles. But my husband and my oldest friend of 20 years, they were trying to like pull off all of these leeches or tadpoles, whatever they were. I was disgusted by them though. And for the longest time, we couldn't figure out what it meant. And it was literally just by walking. It came to me that all these like little leeches are all the like intrusive thoughts, all the bad parts about myself that don't want me to succeed, that want me to hold back, that, like how I was saying with the water back there, that want to bottle everything up and not let ourselves be exposed, but we have to be. And so that's why my truest friends, my husband and my truest friend from 20 years, I've had her as a friend for 20 years, they were taking all of this negativity off of me. But other times these come up to be really important. The other day, my sister, she had this dream and she couldn't figure it out. And when I first pulled them out, I don't know if you saw when I first took them out, they had like a little blue band. I took out the blue band and 2 cards came out when I was doing it for my sister. And I'm like, oh, like that can't be it. I put them back in the deck. I shuffled and the same 2 cards came out. I'm like, oh my gosh, these cards are magical. Yeah, so they're pretty good, and they'll tell you like what's going on. So let me ask a question. Okay, can we connect cards? How can we connect ancient knowledge to our dream selves presently? So connecting with ancient knowledge. Let's see if any cards come out. I'm going to try it 2 times, and if not, I'll just click the first one or see what's on the bottom of the deck. Let's see if anything pops out. I think I'm going to do it because I don't really want anything to pop. Oh, this one came out. Okay. I'm telling you, these are magical. It says soul. So what do we have in common with these ancient people? Our souls. And you can see it's like a mirror looking into the dream. So like, this is our outside world, this is our dream world, and we're all going into the same dream world. So that's what the cards are telling us, that we're all going into the same world that they went into back then. We're going into that same world now. It's just a matter of understanding that world. So yeah, these are really cool. Like I said, I do these a lot, and they really help me understand the context of my dreams. Or like, I pulled one that said like ego, and it's like, oh, like, yeah, that's true. Like, I was doing that in real life for my ego. Like, now let me like quit that, and everything got better. So really cool cards. Back to this book. It's on my Instagram too, at Grounded Spirits, in case you want to know what book it is. Okay. Oh, okay. So this part was so cool. They were talking about how dreams act as a way to heal, and the Hippocratic oath that physicians take today The sun keeps getting in my face. We're gonna have to do this. The Hippocratic Oath that surgeons or any medical doctor they have to take today, he was really big on dreams. He literally wrote a treatise on dreams. I'm going to read this part. It says, in his treatise on dreams, for example, Hippocrates asserts that bright stars in a dream indicate good health, whereas, did not let me finish reading. I think it just wants me to stop there. Okay. So if you dream of bright stars, or if you dream, or like for me, like with my fire shooting out of my hands, it represents good health. But if you dream other things, then it wouldn't be good. But dreams will also tell you how to heal different things. So there are these ancient people who, they had a dream about how to use a frog as medicine, and like their whole tribe was dying. This was like in the Amazon rainforest, and I don't even think it was from this book. I think I watched a TikTok about this, but they had a dream, and that's the only way that they were able to like let their civilization live, was because they were able to figure out how to get medicine from doing this thing with frogs. That sounded dirty, but it wasn't in a dirty way. It was just like, that's just what they learned from their dreams. The other one is from the natives, that if a girl dreams, I'm going to read this part to you. It says, for instance, if there is a story of a sick girl dreaming of 9 feasts and being persuaded by the medicine man that if she has these feasts in reality, she would recover from her illness. And so they gave her the 9 feasts, and then sure enough, she was good to go, you know? So, like, really listen to your dreams. If you are sick, listen to your dreams and let them lead the way for you to get out of that sickness or that illness. So, moving on. Okay, so this is the part now, still in ancient Greece, looking at what Plato said. He said that dreaming allows the human psyche to come out. So it's a lawless wild beast, that nature of a wild beast that peers out when we sleep. And so this kind of reminds me of the Epic of Gilgamesh, where it's in this time period, people were so afraid of their shadow selves. And like, even that's why, like with the whole, like with witches, like the witch hunt and all of that, like if people really felt that they couldn't, here, let me read this part. It says, because the intellect is off guard during sleep, our passions can be given unbridled expression in our dreams. St. Augustine noted that certain aspects of his mind were beyond his control, and he worried that God might hold him responsible for his dreams. And so that's when people would have like sex dreams, they would feel so guilty. But turns out having sex dreams, it just means that you just need more love from that person. So again, it all just comes down to love, like back to like the water back there, and like the cards that we pulled out earlier. It's all about having that emotional stability, and that's how we're going to be able to not have any mental health issues, and really be able to dig into our inner world so that we can fly high, so that we can have fun and not be afraid of going too far. We'll be able to know where that limit is. All right. I already talked about ancient India with like the lucky and the unlucky. Just really quick though, did you know that the Vedas, they came from these ancient Indians who went up into the Himalayas and they just meditated, and they came back down with the Vedas, that like they channeled this information. So I thought that was really cool. Ancient Indians also really believed in the 2 different worlds, so like the waking world and the dreaming world, the waking world and the spirit world, and dreaming was that bridge to go in between them. So cool stuff. The ancient Chinese, we already talked about the city of dreams, but they also really believed in astrology and how astrology could impact your dreams, and your own astrology, like your own personal chart, but also the astrology of like what's going on in the cosmos at the moment, and that's how it would also affect your dreams. They thought that the soul was split up into 2 different parts, where one would stay in the body and the other one would be able to go astral, project out to go wherever. I'm going to read this bedroom ritual. So it says, to pass through the moon gate easily, rituals were practiced before going to sleep. This would include lighting incense and proceeding around the room in an anti-clockwise direction, beginning in the east and moving through south, west, and north before getting into bed. It was also important to make sure that the bedroom was decorated in auspicious colors, typically red and gold, to make sure that nothing hung over the bed which could interfere with the exit of the spirit body. And they also said, like, don't use any beams or canopies or mirrors, just to make sure that your spirit could leave you while you slept and could return to you once you woke up. But what's funny is, a little later in this book, there's a tip that you actually use a mirror. So I'll tell you that one later. And then now here we are with the Celts. So the Celtic tradition that they would, the Druids literally mean like oak people. And they really thought that that the oak tree was divine. So there's that. Oh yeah, back to the sex dreams. They thought that like demons would come and like try to have sex with you when you slept if you were like evil and stuff, and that's why you were having sex dreams. But it was just ways to like scare people. And then that's why anybody who had dreams, they would call you a witch just for having a dream. And everyone was just like really afraid of the inner world. Again, because that shadow self, we can't be afraid of our own self. Just like with the leeches or the tadpoles that were all over me, I can't be afraid of them. I just have to brush them off, like, and then we're good. The Aborigines, they were wild with this. So their creation myth and their fables, their entire spiritual philosophy revolves around dreams, and that everything comes down to cosmic dreaming. And so if they believe that like this rock that I'm sitting on was where somebody slept and had a good dream, that me, by merely touching this rock, would also give me a good dream. And okay, so this is the next tip that I have for you. This one comes from Native Americans, and it talks about the four corners. So this is what you would do. So that you can remember your dream better, it says that you get a little square piece of paper and you draw a circle on it. They would use like cloth or leather, but I'm sure a piece of paper would be fine. You draw a circle on it and you put north, south, east, west. And then you put something on each one. So you could put like a tiny pot of water, a bunch of fresh grass, a lit candle, some burning incense to represent the four elements. And then you would be able to remember your dream that way if you'd put it next to your bed while you slept. So, yeah. I think that is all I have for you in this book. So now let's get more into these tips and really into how to lucid dream and the importance of lucid dreaming. So why do we lucid dream? This is on page 69. It says, lucid dreams give us control over our waking lives. If we learn to recognize our wishes, hopes, and fears, and then how to restructure the plot of our dreams, we can effectively steer ourselves towards success on all fronts, waking and sleeping. So essentially, lucid dreaming is so important because if we learn that we're powerful in a dream, then of course we're going to be more powerful in the waking world. And that's the only thing that we need is we need to wake up to our own power and wake up to know that we are co-creators in this world, and everything is going to be peachy. That's all that we need, is just to have that belief in ourselves that we have been crushed down for centuries. And people could say that it's like based off community, but honestly, it's everybody. Like everybody. White people, black people, Asian people, Hispanic people, Middle Eastern people, Native people, everybody. If I miss somebody, I'm sorry. I mean everybody. We have all been pushed down so that we can remain powerless, so that somebody else could have control. When in reality, we are the most powerful. We are our own masters. We just have to allow ourselves to be. Yeah, okay. Okay, now for tip number 3 from this book. This one is wild. So basically, this one says, think that all phenomena are like dreams. And this has helped me immensely. So, for instance, yesterday, I was so excited to eat this, like, wrap salad, this, like, little burrito that I made out of leftover salad that I had. And I was so excited. I was dreaming of this burrito. Not physically dreaming. I was like, when I was working, I was thinking about this burrito, and I'm like, I can't wait to eat this burrito. Like, I was so excited to eat this burrito. I take one bite and it was moldy. And so I spit it out. I was like, this is so gross. And obviously I threw it away and I had a sandwich instead, but I was just so disappointed. But even when I went back to work, I still felt yucky, as if I had eaten it. And like, why do I feel like I didn't eat it? But I guess just like the thought that I was like so consumed in consuming it that I was just so disappointed, and I felt so yucky that like I wanted this thing that was so bad for me because it was moldy, even though I thought that it was good because it was salad, you know? So then, I think it was, I don't know how it came up, but this morning it came up. I was talking to my husband. We were going over our dream stuff. We do a lot of like rituals in the morning, and so we were in the middle of one of them, and so I told him about my burrito, and then that's when it hit me. I'm like, oh, the burrito was a metaphor for like this whole other thing. And I was like, what? I was like drawing all these connections. I'm like, that's crazy, because the same thing that I do for the symbols that come up in my dreams, I now found it in my waking world. I'm like, what? Like, this is what we're supposed to be doing the whole time. So that was really cool. So at the end of every day now, this has just happened today, so I haven't tried it yet, but at the end of every day now, I'm going to really think about my day, like, oh, like what came up. And actually, that's how I found this spot. I was brought here just by being curious, coming on the trail. I'd only been here once before. And then I came up here and it was a dead end. And I'm like, because I was really trusting my intuition. So I was like, intuition, like, why'd you leave me up here? It's a dead end. There's only this big rock that I'm sitting on right now. And I was so annoyed. I'm like, why'd you bring me up here? It was already at the end of my hike. I was already like huffing and puffing. I'm like, I'm ready to go. Like, why'd you bring me here? So I tried leaving, and then this not bee, this fly, because it was buzzing. This fly started buzzing like bzzz, like all around me, and I was like, what? Like, what do you want? Like, I would move and it would buzz, and then I would stay still and it wouldn't buzz, and I would keep walking towards this rock and it wouldn't buzz. I'm like, okay, it wants to tell me something, but I don't know what you want to tell me, bug. And so I think finally I gave up, and it was like, she ain't getting it. Like, I'm just gonna let her go. And it wasn't until later when I reflected on my day that I'm like, oh, this is the spot where I can record. At the time, I was thinking like, oh, I can record here. I can record at the beach. I can record all over, because how cool would that be? Have like a traveling grounded spirits, like have like something that's like grounded and something that's like more spirit like, and like go around like that. But then today when I came here, and I'm like, this is like literally what the logo was before I changed it, with the 3 girls. Before, it was mountains with the water underneath it, and this just feels so right to be here. So I'm probably just gonna stay here. But that's why it took so long from that first video. It's probably been like 3 weeks, and it was because I was trying to force myself to go back to that place, that's at my school where I did that first video. I was forcing myself to go over there, and I couldn't. Something would always come up. It just wasn't working, and I think it's because I was meant to be here. And yeah, so again, tip number 3 is think that all phenomena are like dreams. So anything that happens to you in your waking world, treat it as though it was a dream. You could even still put it into the dream journal. I can't find it right now, but my dream journal, you could write it in there as far as like symbols or meanings, and like look them up as if they were a dream. Like moldy burrito, put it into ChatGPT, dream about moldy burrito, and see what comes up. And it probably would make sense to me. I'm gonna go look that up now after I finish this. But yeah, I thought that was a great tip. All right, so now for our 4th tip on how to become a better dreamer. It says, as you continue to gaze into the mirror, intend to dream that night. Watch the changing faces for a while longer, then ask to see your real face. Meditators claim that in waking life, the image in a mirror disappears altogether. In lucid dreams, prepare to be even more surprised. No matter what method you use to reach the world of lucid dreams, once you become successful, the benefits are enormous. You can overcome your fears by directly confronting them in your lucid dreams. You can increase your own self-knowledge, which expands your awareness. By facing consciously danger in your dreams, you develop self-confidence, which spills over to your everyday life. And you can solve problems in the dream state that will benefit your waking life. Try as many methods as it takes until you master the art of lucid dreaming. So yeah, look into a mirror, even though the other book said not to do any mirror stuff. But I think, again, it was just like that fear that was going on at that time. But I think now, especially if you seal your mirrors, I could do probably like a video about that if you wanted to. So you could put it in the comments or message me at Grounded Spirits. But yeah, you seal your mirror, and then I do so much mirror work. That's how I have been able to even gain the confidence to do the video. For the longest time, I was just talking to my phone. I wouldn't even say my name, and now here I am doing video out in the open, out in public. Like 3 years ago, I could have never been here. So I really feel like it has been because of that mirror work that I'm able to enjoy my image, people say that they hate like the way that they sound, but like I love it. I feel like I really have been able to get to a point where I love looking at myself. I love hearing myself. I love myself. And yeah, thank you so much for being here on this first episode of our new set. And I really hope that you have learned something. I hope that you can become a better dreamer and that all of your dreams come true. Bye, everybody.